I'm the Gypsy and you're not. And today I'm going to talk about myself, as if I don't talk about myself when I do the vlogs anyway, but today in particular I'm talking about myself. I have people all the time ask me, how did you get started tattooing, or how did you get started piercing? Well, I'm going to attempt to answer that question today, and I'm going to do it on this live stream. Of course, I'm still going to be faced with those questions all the time, and I'm still going to have to answer them, but hey, what the heck. Now, more people will know exactly how that happened. We have to go way back, though, way back to when I was 18 months old. Yes, it all started when I was 18 months old, believe it or not. What happened was my mother, God rest her soul, she purchased me my first coloring book and crayons and gave them to me when I was 18 months old. Now, according to my mother, and I wish I had this, I drew a picture of a cow on the inside cover of the coloring book, and you did not have to guess that it was a cow. She said you knew looking at it, it was a cow. She said I put the horns on it, it had the udders, had a tail. She said 4 feet. There was no question it was a cow. Now, I'm sure it probably looked more like something Picasso would have made rather than, a skilled artist, but if you could tell it was a cow, great. And that set me on the path, because after that, my mother never got me coloring books again. She always got me newsprint pads, crayons, pencils, pens, ink, whatever. But she never, ever got me another coloring book. I grew up without coloring books. I grew up creating basically my own coloring books. Well, as luck would have it, I kept drawing and I kept drawing, and I guess I was getting better because when I was in first grade, there was a citywide art contest here in Topeka, Kansas, and I won first place in my category, which was pretty cool. And all it was a piece of manila paper, and I did a crayon drawing on it, and I did a watercolor wash over it. But in the citywide contest, I won first place for the first graders. Well, then it went on to the state contest, and turns out that I won first place in the state contest. Well, then it went to nationals, which were in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian Institution. And guess what? I won first place in nationals. So this manila paper, crayon, and watercolor wash drawing that I did, piece of art, at 6 years of age, ended up hanging in the Smithsonian Institution for a year. Well, during that year, something historic happened. And it turns out that this simple crayon and watercolor wash drawing that I did on manila paper actually was the historic thing that happened, and I had drawn it before it ever happened. And what made my drawing, I guess, very amazing was that it was very accurate. You see, John Glenn walked in space. For the first time, man walked in space. The drawing that I had done was an astronaut tethered to a capsule walking in space. Well, the Smithsonian latched on to the drawing, and I never saw it again. I wrote them several years ago, God, it must have been close to 30 years ago, asking about my drawing, and what I was told was that I was welcome to get a hold of them and make an appointment to see it, but that they have it vacuum sealed because it was on the manila paper. There's a chance that it could deteriorate, but they were keeping it in their archives, but I could not have it back. At the time, I didn't even think about asking for a copy of it, and maybe I'll write them back one of these days and say, hey, can you at least take a photograph of it and send it to me? I don't know what type of trouble that would cause, but it'd be kind of cool if I could at least have a photograph of that. I would really like to see it again. I got it visualized here in my mind. I know how it looks. I could probably sit down and actually draw it. I don't know if I could draw it as a 6-year-old. I'd probably draw it as a 64-year-old, but, still, I could do it. So it was around that time, I guess 7, 8 years of age, that I wanted 3 things for my life. I actually started thinking about my career. Other children think about being a fireman or a policeman, they just, all sorts of things they'll come up with, a doctor. I wanted to be an artist. I knew there were 3 things I wanted in my life. I wanted to be an artist, I wanted to be famous, and I wanted to be rich. I guess 2 out of 3 It's not bad. I never made the rich part. I probably never will unless I just really win a lottery. I was kind of frivolous with my money when I was younger, but hey, aren't we all? But I have been able to garner some form of fame, which is nice, and I have done art my entire life. I've been able to be an artist. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into how this all came about and how I just happened to end up being a body artist. So what happened was when I was 19 years old, I received this communique from a famous card company, which shall remain nameless here because I don't know whether I'd be violating trademarks or doing product placement. So I'm not even going to say what their name is, but it was a very well-known greeting card company. At the time, I was going to night classes to learn mechanical drafting and technical illustration. And apparently this card company had got a hold of one of my portfolios. They contacted me. I was living with my mom in St. Joe, Missouri, and they contacted me and asked me to come down for an interview. So I did. I went down there and went to their offices in Kansas City, and they gave me this contract to look over. And I'm reading through the contract, and I'm looking down through it and everything, and I come to Article 15. And I looked at the guy and I said, I got a question about Article 15 on this contract. And he said, yeah, what's that? I said, well, it says here that any and all work I do over the next 15 years belongs exclusively to Hallmark Cards. I said the word. Belongs to you guys. He says, is that true? And he says, well, theoretically. I said, no. Not theoretically. This is a simple yes or no question. Yes, you can. No, you can't. Take my work. And he says, well, theoretically, we can take anything that you create. I said, well, theoretically, I'm going to have to think about this. And he says, well, we'll have the contract here for you to sign when you're ready to sign it. And I said, I don't like this. I said, I'll be an old man of 34 years old by the time this contract expires. He says, yeah, but you got to look at it this way. Hey, hi there, Glossy baby. What are you doing? This is creepy? Well, sometimes we're creepy, Anyway, I said, I said to him, I said, I'll be an old man at 34 by the time this expires. And I said, I don't know whether I want to do this or not. And he said, well, we will have the contract here for you to sign when you're ready. And I hope they don't still have the contract because it's going to be very, very, very dusty. Bye, Glossy baby. See you later. Bye. Anyway, it turned out that I never went back, and I wasn't planning on going back when I left. But I wanted to go and not head home yet. I did not want to head home. Okay, you're the only person here. That's fine. See you later. Bye. You have a good day, okay, Glossy baby? Bye-bye. So, anyway, I was driving around Kansas City. I was looking for a way to kill time. I had suspected that my mother had sent my portfolio to the card company, and I didn't want to go home and tell her I wasn't going to work for them. Just wasn't going to do it. So as I'm driving around looking for a way to kill time, all of a sudden I drove by a tattoo studio. Now, I had never been in a tattoo studio before, and a tattoo studio was not, wasn't something that I ever thought about being inside of. I just was curious. I wondered if tattoo studios were the way they showed them. Of course, back then they were called parlors, tattoo parlors, were the way they showed them in movies on TV. Had no intention of getting a tattoo. Getting a tattoo had never even really crossed my mind, but I walked in to check it out. Went in and I looked at the old boy that was working. He was back there tattooing on somebody, and I said, hey, do you mind if I watch you work? And he goes, yeah, but don't talk to me. Oh, okay, dude, fine. I won't talk to you. So I'm watching him work, and 14 hours later when he locked the door, I was still there. And as he locked up, he said, "Boy, when you want to start learning how to tattoo?" I said, "Well, what makes you think I want to learn how to tattoo?" He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "I've been doing this for 28 years. He said, "My daddy tattooed before me and his daddy before him." And he says, "Nobody watches me for 14 hours straight with their mouth closed that don't want to learn. When do you want to start learning?" I said, "Well, I'm going to have to think about it." He says, "Yeah, right. I'll see you in the morning." Well, I got home around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and my mom's up waiting for me. "Where you been? Where you been? What happened? When you going to start work with them?" I said, "Well, Mom, I'm not going to go to work for that card company." She's like, "What? What do you mean you're not going to go to work for them? What are you going to do then?" I said, "I'm going to become a tattoo artist." My mom screamed and fainted. I kid you not, she did. She fainted. I had to catch her, keep her from eating the coffee table. Well, here I am 45 years later, the most experienced artist in the state of Kansas, and I'm still tattooing. Been doing it for 45 years. I made a career out of it. Now, the places I've been, they're unbelievable. I had the first studio in St. Joe, Missouri, help them put together their first tattooing laws. I had the first studio in Abilene, Texas. I had the first studio in San Angelo, Texas, first studio in Midland, Texas. I've had studios, I had the first studio in Southeast Kansas, in Baxter Springs, Kansas, in Independence, Kansas. I have had studios all over. I have tattooed all over. I used to go to the bike rallies with a mobile unit that was built especially for tattooing. I went everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere. All across country, Sturgis, Laconia, you name it, I did it. I have won awards for my work. I have been recognized for my work. I have been considered an expert in the field. I have been contacted with questions galore about tattooing and about body piercing. I went to school to become a professional body piercer back in 1990, which again makes me the most experienced body piercer in the state of Kansas. I have made this career my life. It is, being a body artist is a part of who I am. And I have enjoyed every single minute of it. There have been times when I got aggravated, when I gritted my teeth. There's been low times. There's been times when I had to step away for a little bit and then come back into it again. It's had its ups, it's had its downs. But through it all, through 45 years, I have stuck to it. It has put a roof over my head. It has fed my family. It's put clothes on my family's back. Being a body artist, being a tattoo artist, being a piercing artist has been very good to me. And I feel very grateful that I've been able to do it. Back after the Bush recession, I closed the studio for a while. I went back to truck driving, unfortunately. I truck drove for a while, but that didn't pan out. I ended up moving down to Texas. That didn't pan out either. I had to get back home. I had to get back to Kansas. This is home. Kansas is home. This is where I'm at right now. I'm in Topeka, Kansas. It's funny, the changes that can take place over the years. When I went into the Army, we'll use that as an example. I went into the Army, found out the Army wasn't for me. I won't go into that long story, that's for another day, but I ended up becoming a zookeeper for 7 years. I still tattooed part-time, but I was a zookeeper for 7 years. During that 7-year period, I did not only took care of my animals and had people that worked under me, but I also did exhibit design, and I also created zoo graphics. So I always kept my hand in art. I did exactly what I always said I wanted to do. I wanted to be an artist. I've always been an artist, whether it was body art or fine art. Constantly doing art of one sort or another. And it's always been this thing for me that I'm going to continue to do art. I do paintings, I do all sorts of fine art, I do crafts. I support myself with the tattooing and body piercing. I support myself by selling my paintings. But the thing of it is, I will always do art, no matter what. Up until I draw my last breath, I will be creating art. But what does this mean for my tattooing and piercing? Well, I can only tattoo and pierce for so long. I'm 64 years old. I'm going to be 65 this year. And I figure I have until I'm about 70 to continue doing what I'm doing now, which is tattooing and piercing. I think about at the age of 70, I'm going to go ahead and hang up my machines and go ahead and collect my Social Security. I'm not going to collect Social Security until then. but I'll collect it at that time. But I will continue to do art. I'll continue to paint. I'll continue to create. I will create my entire life. God gave me this talent. He gave me this creative talent, and He expected me to use it. What's funny is I've had, and I put bunny ears around this, people that call themselves good Christians condemn me for being a tattoo artist. The only thing that the Bible says against doing tattoos is don't do it in mourning for the dead. But they always forget to add the rest of it there. Don't cut nor mark thy bodies in mourning for the dead, as the heathens do. A mourning period in Jewish law is season to season to season to season. That's 1 year. And I always talk to people about memorial tattoos before they get them. See, I got to answer to my Maker someday. I won't do any tattoo that's against the Word of God. I won't do any tattoo that's racist. Because, like I said, I have to answer to my Maker someday. And I want him to know that I tried to do the right thing whenever I could, and that I always did it, and I'm a Christian, that I always did it for His glory, not for my own. There was a time when I did it for my own glory, and I suffered for it. I forgot where my blessings came from. I forgot that they came from God. I forgot that He was one that gave me the talent, and I wasn't grateful. I've learned that lesson. It's been a hard lesson to learn, but I am grateful every single day for this wonderful artistic talent that God gave me. No matter how I use it, I will always use it the way He intended me to use it, and I will always be grateful for the talent He gave me, and I won't forget ever again to be grateful for that blessing. Nobody should ever not be grateful for a blessing that comes from God. No matter how small or how big it is, you should always be grateful. Anyway, I'll continue doing art. Like I said, at 70, I think I'm going to hang up the tattoo machine and put up the piercing needle, but I'll continue to do art until I draw my last breath on this earth, which I'm kind of planning to be around the age of 100. Well, actually, I want to make it to my 100th birthday. There's a thing that I always say about my 100th birthday. When I'm 100 years old, I'm going to steal a police motorcycle. I'm going to take the police on the biggest chase they've ever seen in their life till I think that motorcycle's about ready to run out of gas. And then I'm going to drive it off of a cliff to see if motorcycles can fly. I'm curious. It's an experiment. I want to see if motorcycles can fly. My daughter said, "Dad, why do you want to do that? That's suicide." I said, "No, not really." I said, "It's just an experiment. I'm trying to see if motorcycles will fly." I said, "But besides, think about that. They will be videotaping me from the air. There will be video cameras in the police cruisers filming me on this huge chase on this police bike that I stole. I'm 100 years old. I'm wearing my little hospital gown. My butt's flapping in the breeze. And after I go off the cliff and see if motorcycles will fly, do you know how many times that'll appear on TV after I'm gone? I'll be famous. I'll be famous. Everybody will see it forever and ever and ever. It'll be on all the chase shows that they show. So, what the heck? I'll go ahead and do it at 100 years old. Why not? Sounds like fun to me, don't it to you? But the day before my 100th birthday, I'll probably do my last painting at that time. Just, so I can leave something behind. Well, you found out where I came from. You found out how I got into doing tattooing and piercing. And you found out where I've been at and a little bit of where I'm going. For years and years and years, my studio was called Skin Art Creations Tattoo Emporium. When I married my wife, Rachel, we combined our LLCs together and we changed the name to Artist Alley Studio Tattoos and Piercings. Also, Artist Alley Studio and Gallery, that's the fine art side. The body art is Artist Alley Studio Tattoos and Piercings. The fine art side is Artist Alley Studio and Gallery. If you want to find out more about what I do, what my wife Rachel does, visit our websites, okay? We have 3 of them that you need to go to. One of them is www.ubtat2d.com, ubtattooed.com. artistalleystudio.com. It's one of the oldest body art sites on the internet. I've had that since 1994. You can go there and find out all about the body art that I create. You can see examples of my work there. Another site you can go to where you can see our fine art at is www.artist-alley.net. That's www.artist-alley.net. That's where our fine art stuff is at. Now, if you want to see some of the products that we create for the Artist Alley Studio, you can go to www.artistalleystudio.com. That's www.artistalleystudio.com. I hope you go and check out those websites, and I hope you enjoy what you see on them. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close out this video, this live stream. I thank you for being here, and even if you didn't see it live, you're going to see the recorded version. And until next time, just remember, this is your friendly neighborhood Gypsy signing off. And hasta la vista, baby. Later, Gators. Bye-bye now.